You'll want to hear this if you're ever going to take the GREs. If not, then if you're going to take a nap, now's a good time. Now, this is a question almost everybody gets wrong. 12 tired, hungry men commandeer 5 small loaves and 2 tiny fish from some other hungry men so they can feed 5,000 other hungry men. The question: where are the hungry women? And yes, what about the hungry children? Why do they have the men sit in groups of 50? How long will it take for the 12 to distribute the food to 5,000 men? How long will it take for them to clean up? Oh, and how many hungry men can the 12 men actually feed? How many wicker baskets can be filled by the leftovers? Show your work. Note that one man has just talked to them for 7 hours, so everyone is really, really hungry. Now, if you make it past that question on the GRE, they'll throw this one at you. A thirsty Dominican friar has been trying to quench his thirst at a certain place in La Jolla for many years. He decides to try something new. He takes 3.5 pounds of rye malt, various amounts of various other malts, yeast, 5.5 gallons of water, unblessed, various amounts of various hops, and a lot of hope. He mashes the grains for 1 hour at 152 degrees, sparges the mixture at 170 degrees, even though he doesn't know how to say sparge, boils the potion with the hops for 1 hour, ferments the concoction at 65 to 68 degrees, then racks the liquid to 1 keg for 6 weeks, adding various amounts of hops and hopes for the last 10 days. The result is a 50-year Jubilee beer of flavorful favor. The friar is very thirsty by now, but takes the time to bless the beer before serving it. You can watch the video online. When he sees how many Newman Catholics are enjoying each other's fellowship at the party, is his thirst finally quenched? Here are a few other tricky ones, shorter, that might show up on your GRE. 12 nations and 3 terrorist groups are fighting for, well, they can't remember exactly what they're fighting for. If 5 people work for peace and justice and pray 2 times a day, some of them 5 times, especially on Memorial Day, how much longer will the fighting go on? Or if 5 Catholic students who are taking finals and weren't going to vote decide to vote anyway, and there are 2 candidates they've heard of and 99 they haven't heard of, and 12 baffling propositions, how many previously poor people will have housing, work, food, and health care? 2 graduate students, 2 undergraduates, 2 professors, 2 faculty members, 2 spouses, 2 children, and 2 Paulist priests share bread and wine on a Sunday in 1966. Well, the priests probably drink all the wine. This is before priests knew other people could handle it, right? 50 years later, how many people are still eating and drinking? How many monthly values do they share? What value do they start celebrating on day 3 of week 10? How many students are still standing at the end of the following week? This guy has asked 5 word problems. Do you think he's going to ask 2 more? One man takes 1 loaf of bread. He gives thanks, breaks the bread, gives the bread to his friends and says, "This is my body that is for you." Then the man takes 1 cup of wine and says, This is the new covenant in my blood. Do this in memory of me. Centuries later, people are still doing and remembering. How many hungry people will be fed? Will you be one of them today? How will it change your life? How will you change the world? And here's your homework. If you had just 5 and your friend had 2, if you both in Christ were alive, what could you do? Let me run that past you one more time. If you had just 5 and your friend had 2, if you both in Christ were alive, what could you do?